So I've had the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra for a couple of weeks now, and I'm ready to give you guys my full review on this device. And let's see if this answers the question, is the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra worth the staggering price point of $1,299? Okay guys, so we'll begin with the body of this phone. So it's a rather weighty 208 grams, but that makes it feel rather premium, to be honest. That weight of the device definitely makes this phone feel premium. This Galaxy Note 20 Ultra is also relatively thin at 8.1 millimeters, but you'll notice right there that that camera bump definitely is not thin. So definitely not liking that aspect of the phone. I think it actually looks good. It's just the thickness of it definitely requires a case, or it's going to be rocking all over the table when you are using this device, as you can see right there. However, I must state that the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra's design is actually pretty grippy due to its squared off edges. So it's not too easy to drop this phone, even though you would think with that slippery back going to be not quite the case. It's actually pretty easy to grip this square device. Now the back of this phone is where it feels most premium, specifically for this mystic bronze color here. It kind of just feels like a piece of jewelry holding the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. Definitely the top dog Samsung phone. I mean, you could say that's the Galaxy Z Fold 2, but this one definitely has a nice feel with that matte texture feeling back here. And I haven't really had many accidental presses for this phone. Also, the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra is IP68 rated. Overall, I gotta say, I do quite like this design of this phone. I kind of like it more than the S20 Ultra, to be quite honest. And I think most of you looking for a Note might prefer it over some other design phones, because there's not many phones with a square design besides some of the Xperia phones out there. So I really do like it. I think it just feels really great. And I think if you're looking for a phone with excellent design from Samsung, you definitely might want to take a look at this one. Again, I won't only knock it or zing it just for the camera bump being very thick. So moving on to the display. Now the display has been incredible in quite a few areas except for one. So we'll begin with the areas that it has been incredible, and that's in just its sheer brightness, specifically outdoors. This phone has an incredible amount of brightness, indoors as well, but you can really just knock this thing way up if it does detect sunlight. It's the easiest phone I've ever seen in the sunlight, even though you would think not the case with an OLED. This one you can see. You have the motion smoothness that can go up to 120 Hertz, but the problem with this is that you can only do it in the full HD mode. So we're really not seeing the ability to get that 120 Hertz in the WQHD, which is really pretty sad, I think, for the price point, and I really have to knock it there. I just don't like that whatsoever. And I can see the difference in sharpness between full HD and the WQHD. Most people can. So you can see right here, vivid and natural. What's nice about this is that if you go to the natural mode on the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, you definitely get a much less saturated look. So if you really like the saturated look, Samsung's got you covered here in the vivid modes, which is rather nice. So you really have the best of both worlds. Either you want an accurate display with natural, or you want an overly punchy saturated look with the vivid mode. And when it comes to media, you just cannot beat the Note 20 Ultra. It's like holding a little tablet in your pocket, and it does have pretty good audio as well. We'll talk more about that later, but overall, you just cannot beat this phone. That square design makes it feel like you're holding a little TV in your pocket. And I've said that about other phones, but this one really feels like a flat screen TV, just a mini version in your pocket. Okay, and the last thing I want to discuss just a little bit more is that 120 Hertz mode. It really has taken this phone up a notch over the Note 10 Plus, making it feel far smoother on the day-to-day performance. Other than that, I would say that you won't really notice it much unless, you play some games, stuff like that. That's the only other area where you might notice it. Watching videos doesn't seem very different, but man, is it smooth. It's actually smoother than the iPhone experience. So definitely the Note has went way up, I think, with the 120 Hertz. But again, I have to knock it for that ability not to use it in WQHD+, which is super annoying for the price. But I gotta say, I still really do enjoy the 120 hertz. And if you really want a smooth Samsung, this one or the S20 series is where it's at. So what about software with the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra? Well, you're looking at One UI 2.5 with Android 10. Now, the One UI 2.5 brings a few new things like some new keyboard functionality. Also, if you go into the camera here and you go into settings, they also added more pro video modes in here for the One UI 2.5. In addition to that, you have wireless DeX support right here, the wireless DeX support on the One UI 2.5. The thing about this is it's coming to other Samsung phones, not just the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. But what's another neat thing about this software is the ability to just theme the heck out of this phone without needing to go to the Play Store for a new launcher. So Samsung does have an edge there. And really overall, you're still getting that similar Samsung experience with just so many features. You probably won't even have the phone long enough to learn every single thing you can do with this phone. So overall, it's a pretty heavy Samsung influence here. I actually had to turn off the Samsung Daily because that's all basically Samsung right there. And I kind of want to have the Google tray on the left there. Now, I do like a lot of these features. Like if we go over here to home screen settings and you can see we have different grid size, stuff like that without needing a launcher. That's pretty neat. If you like a heavy customization experience, this is pretty much the king. If you like a minimal phone, you're going to want a Pixel because this one is just overstuffed with features that actually might make you kind of want to go to something more simple if you're not the type of person who wants to deal with learning a bunch of features. And that brings us on to the star of the show, which is the S Pen. Of course, it is the same color as the body. And with a 9 millisecond latency, man, does this thing really just write super like paper. Really gonna like this if you really use the S Pen. This thing is super slick, super smooth, especially with that 120 hertz display enabled. In addition, the S Pen software suite is massive. Like it's like a whole nother software in and of itself. You have Create Note, you have View All Notes, Smart Select Screen Write. You could add things here. The Pen Up community is where you can, color in things, share drawings with other people. I mean, if you're an artist, you're gonna love this phone right here. If we go over here to S Pen, but that's kind of the same thing I've been saying about Notes for a long time, but this one is no different. If we go over here into advanced features and we go to S Pen, look at all this stuff. I mean, you can be here all day just messing around with this pen, just having a blast. So if you use the pen and you really like this tool, there's no other phone but this. It's still its strong suit, because other than that, it's just another premium Samsung phone. Now, the thing I will say though is that I'm hearing a lot of people say I never really used that S Pen, and if that's you, you might still like this phone for its square design and its media consumption, but the S Pen is still one of the reasons this phone even exists. Maybe Samsung, I'm hearing that Samsung might actually just get rid of the Note series and just put it all in one flagship Samsung phone. That might make sense, as they wouldn't have to do 2 launches. But still, the S Pen is a very strong suit of this phone. One thing I don't like about it though is that they moved it to the left side. Most of the Notes had it on the right side, so it's going to take an adjustment period. Lefties will like it, but if you've been used to it on the right side, you're going to have to get used to it being on the left side now. So one thing a lot of people like to do with Samsung phones is knock them for their performance. But with a Snapdragon 865 plus 12 gigs of RAM, I can get basically no lag on this phone. I mean, it just doesn't lag. No matter what I'm doing, I could be on this phone all day and just get no apparent lag for this phone. And you can just multitask through basically everything, and it just holds the app right where it's supposed to be. With the 120 hertz, it does that very smooth as well. So performance top notch for this phone. One thing I don't like about this phone is that for the price, 128 gigs, I don't like this. 256 gigs on the Note 10 Plus last year was the base storage. That was a lot better, but to Samsung's credit, at least we do have expandable memory still up here. I do like that. Not a lot of phones are giving you that, so that's still pretty nice feature to have. But the 128 gig storage for a boss phone like this, I don't really like that. Please, Samsung, put the 256 gig back as the base model for these flagship phones costing $1,300. It's just not acceptable for 128 gigs. There's phones that are $350 that have 128 gigs. Okay guys, and talking about the cameras, after the atrocious autofocus issues on the Galaxy S20 Ultra, these cameras with the laser autofocus have fixed that problem. So now you can just place things in the subject and it's going to lock that focus pretty easily. Now you can also go wide angle here, and you can punch in up to 50x zoom on this camera. One thing I don't like about this camera though is that the video mode doesn't let you just go to the wide angle. You have to put super steady to get a wide angle video right here, and you could see a little bit of a delay there as well, so didn't like that touch either. And also I'm noticing some noticeable shutter lag when you do take a photo. It's just sometimes it's not that fast, so you might miss a moment here and there, especially if you're, you know, tracking some moving objects or something like that. But where it's really nice is that it gives you so much resolution opportunities for making video, and especially when you take it into that, you know, pro video mode, that's where it really starts to show you all its resolutions right here. But again, you know, consumer oriented phone here, probably a little bit overly complex for some users. I would like to see just the ability to do 4K 60 and just easily punch through these video modes in the actual video mode. That's my only con really here. The front facing camera still shoots that Samsung soft look, but still gives you a pretty good overall result. I'm going to show you some of these samples here, and you could decide for yourself if this is a camera for you. Overall, my impressions of it are it's definitely pro feeling. It's just I'd like to see 4K 60 on each lens, the ability to do that. So here's some video with the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. You can see beautiful sunset. There are some ducks on the water there. I want to go ahead and zoom in and just kind of get an idea of how the zoom does do with this phone. So you can kind of see very nice overall video quality from the device. I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of a walk test now, just so you can kind of see how the stabilization does do here. And keep in mind that all the audio is coming directly from the Galaxy Note Ultra itself. Note 20 Ultra 5G. Really long name there. We'll go ahead and do a little bit of running. You can just see how stable it is. Overall, not too shabby. And what about battery life with this phone? Well, I could say that it's not great. It's not horrible, but it's not great. Now the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, if we go to settings here and we go to the battery life, let's go to device care and we go to the battery life here, you'll see that it gives you a good estimation. It tells you, your battery usage. I do like the layout here. I gotta say though that the standby time is still pretty atrocious. Like if you leave it in your pocket, it's still gonna drain battery. I don't like that about this phone. I get around 5 hours of screen time. Now I get around 6 on the OnePlus 8 Pro, a direct competitor to this phone, and that's with 120 Hertz at the full resolution. So this phone right here to me is not giving me the best battery life out there. However, I'm not really disappointed because I still think it has enough endurance to get you through a day, which is basically what you need, but it's not overly impressive, and that's a little bit annoying considering the price. I would like it to be overly impressive for $1,300. So not overly impressed. It still does charge very fast and it has adequate endurance. It will get you through the day. Okay guys, so in conclusion, for $1299, is the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra worth that sticker price? And I think yes and no. I think it's worth it if you're coming from a really old phone and you just want to really pour some money into one of the best phones with all the features, and you're going to keep this thing 3 years plus. I think in that case, it's worth the money. However, I do seriously recommend doing a trade-in to get a big discount on this phone. That would really help justify the price tag of this. Also, I think if you're the type of person who does pro video performance, things, and you need to get the 8K video recording, you're actually going to justify the price of this phone. Pretty awesome as well. Also, if you just like a really gold phone to be flexing with, you'll probably be able to easily justify this. This is probably Samsung's second top flexing phone out there next to the Z Fold 2. But for me, from a utility standpoint, if you've already had like a Note 10 Plus, you've already had like a really good, productive, modern smartphone, it's going to be hard to justify $1,299 again for this phone right here. But overall, I mean, it pretty much does what Samsung is advertising it to do. It's a pretty pro phone with great S Pen features and, pretty much top of the line here. Again, though, you're going to have to pay to play with this one. Let me know your thoughts about the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. Are you going to pick one up? Are you just going to wait for the price to come down, then pick one up? Or are you just going to do a trade-in? Do you already have one? Let us know your experiences down below in the comments section of this video. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, stay safe, and peace.